We all know Napoleon Bonaparte, the military genius who conquered much of Europe. But what if I told you his most humiliating defeat wasn't at Waterloo, but against an enemy far smaller, fluffier, and way more unexpected? This is the absolutely true story of Napoleon versus a horde of rabbits. The year is 1807. Napoleon has just signed the treaties of Tilsit, basically making him the master of Western and Central Europe. To celebrate this massive diplomatic win, he wants to do something grand. He tells his chief of staff, a man named Alexander Berthier, to organize a massive rabbit hunt for him and his top military brass. It was meant to be a day of sport and relaxation for the most powerful men in France. Berthier, wanting to impress the emperor, took his task very seriously. He didn't just find a few rabbits, he went all out. Sources say he acquired somewhere between several hundred and 3,000 rabbits. He had them brought in cages to a large field, ready for the big day. The stage was set. Napoleon and his men arrived, armed with their hunting rifles, ready for some action. The signal was given, and the cage doors were thrown open. But what happened next was not what anyone expected. Instead of scattering in fear, the rabbits did something bizarre. They paused, looked at the most powerful man in Europe, and then, as one giant, furry wave, they charged, straight at Napoleon. At first, the men laughed. It was a funny sight, a sea of bunnies hopping towards them, but the laughter quickly died down. This wasn't a retreat, it was an attack. The rabbits swarmed their legs, climbing up Napoleon's jacket. These weren't wild rabbits used to fending for themselves. Berthier had bought domesticated rabbits from local farmers. To them, the men weren't hunters. They were walking food dispensers who were late with dinner. The great military commander and his generals were completely overwhelmed. They tried to shoo them away with their riding crops and guns, but the bunny battalion was relentless. More and more rabbits poured out, a seemingly endless, fuzzy tide. The onslaught was so intense that the great Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who made kings tremble, was forced to retreat. He scrambled back to his imperial carriage, but the rabbits were not done. They split into two furry flanks and continued the assault, surrounding the carriage. Some even reportedly leaped inside. The emperor's carriage had to beat a hasty retreat, with Napoleon furiously trying to fend off the fluffy invaders from his window until they were finally out of range. So there you have it, the conqueror of Europe, defeated and forced into a panicked retreat, not by the armies of Russia or Prussia, but by a very hungry army of bunnies. It just goes to show, history is full of strange and hilarious surprises. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this weird piece of history, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.